A planet that needs to provide 50% more energy, 50% more food, 30% more water over the next couple of decades, it simply is not going to happen unless we change the way that we consume.
The circular economy is a fundamentally different economic model. It's taking the entire global economy, looking at it through a different lens and saying how can we valorize our economy to a higher level. So never at any point would anything made within a circular economy become waste.
In all the systems, we are basically not properly addressing the need for change.
In a circular economy thinking, we actually will recuperate the value of the product when it comes to the end of its life cycle.
Look at the commodity indexes of the last 100 years, we saw that price come down for a century. The problem is those prices have more volatility in them than we've ever seen before in history.
The supply of these polymers are one of the most abundant resources we have on a daily basis. If you use less energy, you use less chemical to produce new material, of course you're going to have financial savings.
This is the largest business opportunity ever seen by our species.
With recurring revenues that come out of a base of customers that will take my product as a service, I can build a very profitable and recurring revenue stream.
It has developed over time exactly into a virtual ownership of the material throughout the whole product life cycle.
What the customer needs to see is personal benefit to them. They've got to walk into a shop, into a store, online and see that they buy a product and service that they want. It's sexy, it's aspirational, it's the right price point. And by the way, it's also circular.
With technology, materials, science, the Internet of Things, we can use our innovation and creativity to really build an economy that is more circular.
Good morning and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, a special event being hosted by the Caribbean Institute of Management Consultants in celebration of International Consultants Day 2025. My name is Brenda Pope, and I am a past president of CIMC. I am delighted and indeed honored to be your moderator today, and I'm happy to engage with a group of professionals like you who play a crucial role in shaping business strategies and driving impactful change. Today, as you are aware, our theme is the circular economy, converting waste to wealth. As management consultants, we all understand the importance of innovation, efficiency, and sustainability in today's business landscape. The circular economy presents a powerful framework, one that challenges the conventional, quote, take, make, waste, close quote, linear models, and encourages businesses instead to rethink value creation through regeneration, resource optimization, and long-term resilience. Today's session on International Consultants Day is an opportunity to explore how consulting can be a catalyst for circular transformation, helping organizations to adapt, innovate, and thrive in a future defined by sustainability. Today, we will hear from regional and international thought leaders, industry experts, and practitioners who are driving change and implementing circular strategies in real-world scenarios. We will also discuss strategies that you as consultants can leverage to integrate circular economy principles into your advisory work. I encourage you all to engage actively, respond to our polls, ask questions during the Q&A, bring your perspectives, share insights, and be part of this meaningful conversation. Together, we can help businesses redefine success, not just in terms of profit, but through sustainable growth and lasting impact. Our CMC Global Institute session for ICD Day was held very early this morning at around 3:30 a.m. EST under a complementary theme, Consulting for a Sustainable Future. A key segment of this update was a presentation on the 2024 National Consulting Index, which identifies the key factors at a national level which indicate the readiness of an economy for the emergence of management consulting as a profession. This index also provides indicators both to the profession and to governments where energy might and should be focused to help strengthen and grow the profession within each country. For those who are interested, this NCI index can be found on CMC's global website. So now just a little housekeeping before we get started with today's webinar. Attendees, if you have any questions during the presentations, please type them into the question box in your Zoom control panel. We will have an initial Q&A at the end of the keynote's presentation, and then a second Q&A at the end of the panel discussion with the other three speakers. We will be sharing the relevant presentations with you after the conference session, and we will also be having a short 5-minute comfort and stretch break sometime around 11:15 or thereabouts. So now, just so you are aware of what's happening today, let me just share my screen at this point. And just so you know, we will be having some greetings from selected persons, and then we will have our keynote speaker, Professor Wayne Dunn, and some Q&A. Then we'll have our panel discussion, and then some more Q&A. And of course, we have some other surprises and interactive participation by you during the entire webinar. However, before we get into today's event proper, I would like to begin by first acknowledging the sponsors for today's event. Without sponsors and donors, many of our CIMC initiatives would not be possible. So we are very appreciative of those companies that respond readily and support our varying efforts on multiple fronts and in varying forums. Our title sponsor is Caribbean Development Bank. We will hear more from them shortly. Our bronze sponsor are KPMG and Ernst & Young. Our deepest gratitude to these three organizations for their invaluable contribution and support. And now, without further ado, let's really get started. To start us off on the right note with a short invocation, I am pleased to hand over to Reverend Astor Carlyle, a friend of CIMC for many years. Reverend Carlyle.
Let us pray. God of grace, creator and sustainer of all life, how we praise you for this new day. The colors and sounds of creation speak to the vibrancy of your love. You have given us everything we need for life, and your innumerable expressions of affection are indescribable. On this International Consultants Day, as we meet to consider the creative use of the earth's resources and waste, we pray that you will furnish each presenter with the light of your insight. Inspire and help us to live in harmony with Earth's rhythms, that we may protect the fragile ecosystems and respect the sanctity of all living things. Grant us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, so that positioning our minds and our lives, we may present to future generations that which is sustainable and stable. Since we can do nothing of eternal worth without you, hallow our gathering with your presence, that through our living and our giving, your kingdom will come, and your will indeed be done on earth as it is in heaven. For Christ's sake. Amen.
Thank you very much, Carlyle, for that. And now, to open the formal batting today, I'm pleased at this time to share a short pre-recorded message from our CMC Global Chair, Nick Warren, with ICD greetings and perspectives from our Global Parent Institute, ICMCI, or CMC Global, as it is better known today.
Dear colleagues, friends, and distinguished guests at the Caribbean IMC's celebration of International Consultants Day. It's both a pleasure and an honour to address you today as ICMCI President on this momentous occasion International Consultants Day. United by our shared commitment to professional excellence, innovation and impact, we are reminded of the profound role consulting plays in shaping the world around us. As the 21st century unfolds, the world and the consulting profession face a new challenge: sustainability. Gone are the days when sustainability was an option. Today it's a necessity, woven into the fabric of economic, social and environmental stability. By integrating sustainable strategies into certification frameworks, fostering collaboration across national institutes, and driving thought leadership in responsible consulting, ICMCI continues to champion ethical, forward-thinking advisory solutions. And so, as we celebrate today, we must recognise that our profession is at an inflection point. The responsibility we hold goes beyond profitability. It's about shaping a world where businesses thrive in harmony with society and the environment. Your theme today, Circular Economy, Our Legacy, Converting Waste to Wealth, is more than a call to action. It's a reflection of the responsibilities we bear as thought leaders, strategists, and change agents in an era where sustainability has moved from aspiration to imperative. Therefore, dear colleagues, today is not merely a celebration of our profession. It's a declaration of our mission. It's a recognition that consulting is not just about solving problems, it's about shaping futures. The world needs us, needs our expertise, our innovation, and above all, our commitment to sustainable solutions. Let's not wait for change to come. Let us be the catalyst to drive it forward. Together we can consult for a future that is not only sustainable, but truly remarkable. Thank you, and I wish you all success in the rest of your celebrations and deliberations today.
Thank you very much, Nick, even though you can't hear us, for that call to action that we as consultants should do in terms of us making the difference that makes the change. Our next speaker is Norma Shorey, our own CIMC president, who will deliver a welcome message on behalf of our regional institute and tell us briefly about some of our ongoing initiatives and also provide a little historical context for those of you joining us for the first time. Over to you, Norma.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to CIMC members, colleagues, and friends. Let me echo Brenda's welcome to our ICD Conference 2025. And I thank Nick Warren, the CMC Global President, for his introductory remarks. And let me just say that I attended virtually the conference the ICD conference in Brussels early in the wee hours of this morning, which was focused also on consulting for a sustainable future. And Nick really highlighted the critical role of consultants as thought leaders and strategists to help organizations build a sustainable future. That's what our focus is. We recognize that ICD Day is celebrated by IMCs, that's the Management Consultants Institutes, right across the globe in different ways. And so we are delighted to welcome our members and colleagues, not only from the Caribbean region, but from many other countries worldwide. And we thank our sponsors, especially our title sponsor, CDB, who has been assisting in developing the capacity of consultants in our region. Our theme this morning is significant. It is last year, 2024, our theme was on the blue and green economy, where we linked up with the UN ESG goals. And we are doing the same thing this year, but going one step further. But you know, folks, we live in a VUCA world. We live in a world that is volatile, that is uncertain, that is complex, and that is definitely a world that is really very difficult for us to live in. Our role as consultants is not just to solve problems, but to support our agencies in shaping future in sustainable ways. So our theme today for our ICD will give you insights on what you can do or do differently in organizations to contribute to a legacy which is sensitive to environmental concerns and create a footprint that promotes sustainability now and for the future. Our theme, Waste to Wealth, reminds me of what my mom used to say to us: one man's trash is another man's treasure. You got it. So just in speaking about CIMC, we are a regional network of the International Council, CMC Global. Our membership spans from, could you put up the slide, please? From Suriname in the south, all the way to the Bahamas in the north of the Caribbean, or CARIFORUM, the first slide that had the CMC. Could you put up the first slide, please? Okay. So on this slide, we want to make sure that you can see your flag. And we have a special welcome to Curacao, who many of your colleagues attended in person to some of our training sessions last year. Our mission is building the capacity of members, generating value for clients, and developing competitive advantages. And we recognize that our colleagues and our consultants may be specialized in many different areas: ICT, marketing, finance, organizational development, HR, strategic planning. But we all need to be sensitive to the changes in the wider world and continuously upgrade our skills. And in this regard, building our capacity of members, CIMC is the conduit to the internationally recognized certified management designation, which promotes the highest standards of ethics and consulting standards and approaches in our competency framework. But we also promote the ISO 20700 standard and guidelines. Why is this important? Because it provides guidelines, and if you could put up the slide on that regard, that provides guidelines which enable consultants to work more professionally and more effectively in the planning, execution, and closure stages of a project or assignments. You can see there the information on our upcoming session, which is going to be on June 17th and 18th, and we will enable you this process enables client consultants to work more effectively with clients so that we can work together, and it provides clients with a clear approach on how to monitor and assess the work of consultants. So the ISO standard facilitates more productive relationships between consultants and clients and contributes to successful outcomes from consulting assignments. It is a win-win. But you know what? In this time on International Consultants Day, we recognize that some of you have already gained the ISO 20000 credentials, and many of you have not yet gained this. We have a self-paced LMS course, which you can do at any time. But announcing our upcoming ISO 20700 course is in mid-June. will be very good for you. Are you interested? Well, stay tuned because we have surprise gifts related to this upcoming course, which we will announce after the break. So enjoy the benefits from this stimulating presentation by our feature speaker and the panelists. And once again, we thank you for participating in this ICD conference. Enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Norma, for those relevant opening remarks, which set the tone and foundation for today's session, and also for the important information CIMC's thrust to provide programs, training, and advocacy to improve consulting capacity, capability, and development across the region. And of course, for upcoming CIMC training and networking opportunities. So now we will hear a short word from Alison Francis, Operations Officer, MSME at Caribbean Development Bank, our title sponsor. CDB continues to be a staunch supporter of all of our programs and events, especially those targeted to building consultant capacity and competitive advantage. We are indeed grateful and indebted to them. Alison, you are up.
Thank you very much, and a pleasant good morning to everyone. Happy International Consultants Day. Waste to wealth, very important theme today. At Caribbean Development Bank, we are very pleased to continue to support the management consultants within the region. You play a very important role in this critical issue that we speak of, the circular economy, waste to wealth. At Caribbean Development Bank, we understand the importance of building resilience for sustainability. As we, as a bank, as we seek to strengthen in particular the private sector ecosystem to enable more sustainable and competitiveness and growth, it is important for us to discuss these issues. As we speak of innovating, transforming, and thriving as a bank, and as for you, the private sector, this again becomes a critical issue for us to discuss. Here at the bank, we seek to forge new relationships as we build on the ones we have with the Institute of Management Consultants, but not only in terms of our increased support, where we look at issues of finding new opportunities to finance the circular economy, but also in terms of building partnerships in the region for development. We see the importance of the private sector as well, investing in these issues of the circular economy for reusing, recycling, etc., from turning waste to wealth. And so today, CDB is very pleased to continue to support the management consultants. And as said by Brenda before, you are the catalyst to this change that we need to be innovative, as I said, to transform and to ensure we have a thriving private sector. So again, on behalf of the Caribbean Development Bank, on behalf of our division chief, Ms. Lisa Harden, we are very pleased to support International Consultants Day today and continue to support the development of the management consultants in the Caribbean. So do have a very successful day today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alison. And again, thank you to CDB for their continued sponsorship today and continued support over the years. The St. Lucia's Citizenship by Investment program works to identify potential investors who are interested in building sustainable infrastructure, primarily via the real estate option. With this in mind, Mr. McLeod Emmanuel, CEO of the St. Lucia CIP, is honored to associate with the objectives of this webinar and to offer the following brief remarks. Over to you, Mr. Emmanuel.
Good day, good morning, Ms. Pope, and happy International Consultants Day. I would like to thank you for this opportunity to support and also partner with you. St. Lucia is one of 5 Caribbean territories with a CBI program. Unlike the others, we do not rely heavily on this industry, as only about 8% of our gross domestic product emanates from the CBI industry. However, nonetheless, we do find it has a viable revenue stream, particularly providing an opportunity for us to target high net worth individuals to come to our territory. We've created an acronym called VIBE, which is Visit, Invest, Build, Establish. and that is geared towards us going beyond the passport. I know historically, and even now through some of the local media, the CBI programs across Europe, even more recently America, has been commoditized. In St. Lucia, we believe that anybody we recruit, vet, and grant to become a St. Lucian has to add value to us. We have some key industries, and we try to leverage our significant properties, having direct flights to all of the major cities daily, having a relatively good ease of doing business, having a relatively readily available workforce, all tend to be competitive factors for St. Lucia versus other territories. Our program started in 2016 by the Investment Act number 15 of 2015. Since then, over the years, we have grown with significant footprints in the Middle East, West Africa, and China. More recently, we've seen a lot of traction from the US market, both during COVID and more recently now, particularly on the East Coast, New York, Philadelphia, Miami, and ironically, on the West, in particular, Los Angeles and San Francisco. So this has been a big market for us in St. Lucia. What we try to do with our programs is provide options for investment that are sustainable in nature. We have the real estate program where we partner with developers, more or less like a PPP, and allow them to utilize our infrastructure to promote and get revenue needed to build a hotel. Obviously, before we deem a project a CIP approved one, we do extensive analysis to ensure that there is significant economic impact during and post-construction of the hotel, and we identify areas that are needing significant injection of capital. So currently, our just subscribed development is happening on the south east of St. Lucia. This is an area, although we are a small country, 238 square miles, people go to the south or the north for employment in the country. So we believe that having a significant development in that region would allow persons within the environs to have the opportunity to work and be within their home confines. We also we're the only country with a government bond option. Whilst government sells the bonds on the open market, CIP St. Lucia offers a government bond that is 5% zero interest bearing. This has been a significant seller in regions like China and in the Middle East, and more recently in the US market. We also have a donation to our National Economic Fund, which is a fund that is geared specifically towards youth and sports development and creating social safety nets for the most vulnerable in the country. At the core of our functions is our due diligence. And we believe that we, as a brand, as a small open economy, we don't have the latitude to get things wrong. So our process is very, very robust. So for one to be granted or even go through the process, we have vetting that takes place internally. We have the local law enforcement. We have the GRCC, which is part of the regional CARICOM impacts. We have third-party due diligence firms from all around the world who do the investigative work on the applicants. We do checks by the local FIAs. We do interviews, and the board, after everything is summarized in the report, would sit and opine on the various factors that would merit a grant or denial. So fortunately for us, we haven't had any adverse or negative incidents where St. Lucian passport holders have caused anything to put our country into disrepute. And with our robust system, we hope to weed any bad actors from doing so. Also, the geopolitical climate has changed, has continued to evolve around the world. And right now, there's lots of engagement with the European Union, the UK Home Office, and also the US State Department on how we could strengthen the programs to ensure it's more robust, to thought against AML and terrorist financing schemes. So it's a ever evolving industry, but I think it's exciting. And for St. Lucia, whilst tourism and generally speaking, our services sector is what drives our economy, we have derived significant benefits from CBI, of which we are very happy about.
Thank you again, Mr. Emmanuel. And also big thank yous to all our other sponsors, donors, and partner entities.
Okay.
Now, folks, before we get the main event itself started, let's get all of you actively involved. So please, we are going to be having the first poll question coming up on the screen. We are going to give you 1 minute to respond, and then we'll discuss the results. Coming down. 10. Tech team, can you show the results now? People should have put their responses by now. Okay, so we can see that, interestingly, approximately 70% were somewhat or quite aware before this morning's session. So that's good news. So that means that we already have people that are a bit informed. Hopefully, by the end of the session, maybe those numbers will, those that are not at all, the 30% that were not at all or very little, will have increased and have all moved to a different area. Okay, so let me just share this screen. So now we at CIMC are indeed honored to open our keynote session, spearheaded by Professor Wayne Dunn, award-winning global sustainability expert. He will help us to discern the trends and actions which we consultants and our industry must take in the context of the circular economy. Dr. Nsambi Jaja, past president of the CIMC and chair of the ICD 2025 committee, will introduce Professor Dunn. You are up, Nsambi.
Good morning, everyone. Happy International Consultants Day. What an honor and a privilege has been afforded to me to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Wayne Dunn. He is a globally recognized ESG and sustainability expert with over 20 years of experience helping businesses transform sustainability challenges into comprehensive and competitive advantages. As a founder of the internationally certified CSR ESG Institute and former professor of practice at McGill University, he has developed award-winning training programs that demonstrate how authentic sustainability drives business performance. The Institute, the CSR ESG Institute, through its comprehensive suite of training, coaching, and advisory services, helps organizations develop and execute effective ESG and sustainability strategies that drive tangible results. Its unique methodology simplifies complex frameworks into clear, manageable steps while ensuring alignment with global standards and local contexts. The Institute's expertise in blending academic rigor with practical implementation has made it a trusted partner for companies, governments, and organizations seeking to build genuine sustainability capabilities and achieve meaningful ESG outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, friends of CIMC, I implore you to visit the website of the CSR ESG Institute, where you will find a chock block of information, blogs, videos, white papers. It's amazing. And it is in this context that we invited Professor Wayne Dunn to be our keynote speaker on this important conference that is focusing on the circular economy, which ties in so beautifully and intricately with CSR ESG. So let us put our hands, our hearts, and our spirits together and welcome in fine Caribbean and international style, Professor Wayne Dunn, our keynote speaker.
You're muted.
You're muted, Professor Dunn. We're not hearing you.
Some would say not hearing me is an advantage. I hope you're not one of them. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for that warm welcome and congratulations on this event. It's amazing, and the introduction. At my heart, I grew up at the end of literally at the end of the road in northern Saskatchewan in Canada. I could walk out of my house and there was no east-west road north of me. And I had no idea at the time, but I was living the circular economy. We were living it, and I suspect that that's true for many of you as well. Those who said that you didn't know about it or knew little about it, I am willing to bet that you actually did. It's just that consultants and professors and PhD economists and others tend to take simple concepts and make them complicated. So you're probably not going to learn anything from this presentation other than discovering what you already know and maybe how you can use it. So when we look, the way our businesses, the way our economy has developed, it is in a linear fashion. We take resources, we optimize around that to manage costs around what goes in, we make something, and then we sell it and we dispose of the waste. And that model is literally throwing away money and harming the environment. And it's doing it at an increasing rate. I think we're all aware that social impact and environmental stewardship and other issues are becoming more and more important to our publics, to our customers, to our stakeholders. And as they do, that actually creates more opportunities in the circular economy. So you're already doing it. I mean, I grew up, we were a small farm. We did a bit of everything. We had chickens and pigs and gardens, and we were living the circular economy at a household level. And I'm sure many of you were as well. We had a pail in the porch. We called the slop pail, and you didn't eat everything on your plate. If you couldn't keep it for the next meal, you put it in there. The potato peelings, other things like that, kitchen scraps. If we boiled some meat for dinner, the water from that would go in. That would get fed to the pigs, and the pigs would get either butchered and we'd eat them or sold. So we were taking the waste and we were turning it into input, either food for the house or money for the farm. Same with chickens. We many of us do this with composting and other areas. So on a personal household level, I'm sure we're all aware of a circular economy. It's just that we didn't call it that. It was simply common sense. It's what we needed to do to survive economically. And there's value in it. On a personal level, we were saving costs. We were saving money on animal feed, soil amendments, and more now. There's personal satisfaction. I feel good when I take my organic scraps and make compost or put them into a compost stream, and we create environmental value from it. Business is all about creating value. And I'm going to stop for a minute. The time is short, so don't expect a detailed, complex presentation. What I hope you come out of this with is a realization that, number one, this is not rocket science. You already know about it. You know more than you realized. And number two, many of your clients or many of your prospective clients can actually make money by doing this. And if you can't find a way to help them make money by doing it, you probably need to go back and do more thinking and research, because at the end of the day, business is about value and creating money. It's about creating value. And business does that by managing input costs, by managing production costs, by optimizing price and marketing. All of those, this linear economy map, every one of those red squares represents an opportunity and a cost. The circular economy provides opportunity on all of those levels, and it's not insignificant. The estimates are that the circular economy, if it spread worldwide, if it was fully implemented, not on a charity or philanthropic basis, but on a business value basis, could create $4.5 trillion in value and reduce environmental impact dramatically. That's not, as I said, that's simply by fully implementing it on a business value basis, that you implement activities that create business value. So I did some quick research and wasn't able to really break out just the Caribbean, but it groups together Latin America and the Caribbean as many do. And I realize there are differences, but I suspect these numbers are relevant. The circularity rate in business is less than 1%. So 99% of the waste is not being utilized. Circular economy is about utilizing that waste for fuel, for energy. Nature does it. If you go in Canada, it gets cold. The leaves fall from the trees, from all of our broadleaf trees, our hardwood trees. They fall every fall before it snows. They're in the soil. They get worked into the soil, and they create fuel for the next generation of trees and growth that comes out. The research I looked at, the Circularity Gap Report on Latin America and the Caribbean, says that if we close this circularity gap, we could slash the region's material and carbon footprints by a third. By a third. That is huge. That's the environmental opportunity. And at the same time, it would create up to 8.8 million new jobs. That is major opportunity. The businesses implementing it, adopting circularity practices, can expect reduced costs for raw materials, energies, waste management, and beyond that, because today, and I'm not going to get into ESG very much, but ESG, environment, social, and governance, has become a huge thing. It affects finance. It affects a lot of things, and companies are struggling to manage their impacts and reporting and other areas. And this too is an opportunity. But as you implement circularity practices in businesses, you're able to communicate that through an ESG reporting framework that can save you money on your cost of capital, on access to capital, on acquiring and maintaining your human resources, on your stakeholder relationships, on your regulatory relationships. The opportunity is really there, and it's huge. So what do we do? I like to look at it in terms of the five R's. So reduce, reuse, recycle, redesign, and revenue. So if we manage inventory, if you're a grocery store and you have produce, the more you invest in managing that inventory, so you're bringing in fresh produce, fresh greens, fruits, vegetables, and managing the turnover time, so you have less spoilage and less waste, you're saving yourself money. Every bit of spoilage you have in your inventory is a cost. Even if you put that into a composting stream, it's a cost. So managing that process better is going to save the business money, and it's going to save all of the environmental and cash costs related to growing that process. Reuse. I mean, we're seeing restaurants not just save money by taking their food scraps, composting, and growing, having a herb garden or something that they're getting some of their food inputs on. So they're saving money on inputs into their process, which is creating meals for businesses. But then they take and they communicate that, and it becomes a marketing tool as well. So they're saving money on inputs, and they're gaining on the marketing and sales side, because who doesn't want to go to a restaurant where the stuff is fresh and you feel good because they're managing environmental issues and costs, and that marketing and communication opportunity, it's there for the grocery store example we looked at as well. Recycle. I think a lot of us are doing this now. We're finding ways that paper and glass and other materials can go back into production cycles, and that's part of a circular economy. A circular economy does not have to be self-contained. Redesigned. So I do some work with a coconut oil producer in Ghana. I live between Canada and Ghana, and I'll get into another business I run in a minute. But they one of their big waste streams was the husks, the husks from the coconut, and what to do with it. And we did a few things. They tried making some charcoal with it, and that didn't work great for them at the scale they were working, and wasn't financially viable. What they ended up doing was developed a simple way to grind it and literally make seed pots. So they had compostable seed pots that were then used for coconut seedlings, and it worked its way into the stream. I realized that the one I want to talk about next is actually one that I developed. I also run Baraka Impact. We produce and procure ingredients in Ghana that we market to the natural and organic skin care and cosmetic sector globally. We have a website. We ship about 5,000 orders a year around North America from our website, and then we provide shea butter, cocoa butter, coconut oil, and other ingredients to large and small customers, worldwide, from Lush to somebody who's getting 50 grams of shea butter to massage on their feet. I'm sure many of you know about shea butter. It's an incredible product, but what many don't know is shea butter. There's a shea tree. It has a fruit on the. Right now, it's just towards the end of the fruiting season. The fruit is great. Inside the fruit is a husk, and inside that a seed. Of course, that's what the shea tree comes from. But that seed has oil in it. Has the oil that turns into shea butter. Extracting that oil from that nut, you get, depending if you use chemicals for the extraction, you might get 40 to 45% oil, and the rest is as a waste product. We do it by hand, so we get somewhere around 30%. So 70% of the weight of those shea nuts is waste. And traditionally, it was just sort of run out on the landscape, and it was organic. It would it would sort of disappear in a year or two, but it looked ugly. And at the same time as we were doing that, we were buying firewood. Firewood is used for roasting and boiling shea butter. And this is all documented. There's a video on it and other material on our website if you want. But we looked at that and we realized that waste can be used for fuel. So we developed a very simple process, so simple that women and families have replicated in their compounds. We just dug a pit and we poured the wastewater, which was saturated with nut solids, into the pit, and through heat, evaporation, and draining out, the water would go out. We'd be left with something. We made it into to fuel blocks, and we used it. We actually we created two new jobs. We saved a little bit. We had cost of doing it, so there was a little saving from the fuel, but we created the employment. But where we really got the revenue, the value from it, was it gave us such a great marketing story, because who doesn't want to buy products that you feel are being socially and environmentally responsible? So I'm going to have to jump ahead quickly here. I think I'm using up my my time. There's so much to be said and done at this, but remember that it is simple. When you look at the businesses you work with, look at your household, look at, what are the biggest waste streams? So with Baraka, our biggest waste stream was the wastewater from extracting the oils from the nuts, and that wastewater was saturated with nut solids. And we capture, but look at the R's, look at the 5 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, redesign, and revenue. Which one could apply? Start with one. Every waste stream has some circular options, but start with the easiest ones and build from there. The key is as you dig into it too deep, you'll get overwhelmed with noise, with this, with that. It's like ESG. If you come to or watch some of my ESG lectures, you will see how we really take such a focus on keeping it simple. Focus on value, shut out the noise. Which of those R's offer an opportunity? And then how can you execute on it? Doesn't have to be complicated. The circular economy is an opportunity, but we have to focus on value. We are not going to, 95% of the waste stream from some businesses, there may not right now on a simple level be a way to apply circularity to that. So rather than focusing on something that doesn't fit, look at the opportunities that have value. Think back to the kitchen, to your farm kitchen, your village kitchen, and how you're reusing and recycling everything. And I mean, it's the circular economy is something we've all grown up with. We've all lived with. It doesn't matter where we are in a household level, and we're doing it more. But focus on the value, on the business value and environmental value. Find where they come together and then start to implement. If you lose that focus, you really lose the opportunity. You might do something, but if you're producing environmental value and costing business value, it's not going to be sustainable. I see I didn't judge my time. I was going to speak some to ESG as well. Any of you who are interested in ESG and how you can support your clients to engage with it in a way that will make them money, save the money, add value, I invite you to check out the resources on the website. We really do have a lot. I don't know, maybe 100 small lectures and a lot of blogs and white papers. But I did the same thing with ESG. I broke the E and the S and the G down into pieces, into themes that we can use and work with. So I think I've probably used a bit more time than I was allotted. Sorry about that. If I've done this right, you haven't really learned anything other than that you already knew a lot of this. Focus on the simple things. Focus on value, and just do it. Take today, when this is over today, think about one of the businesses you work with. Just do a mental exercise. Go through that 5R exercise just on a mental and conceptual level on your own. And I will guarantee you will come out of that with 1, 2, 3 ideas that you can start to test a little more and see about value. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. Don't let professors and consultants and PhD economists and lawyers and others, and I apologize, I wear some of those hats. But as a group of professionals, we tend to make things much more complex, much more complicated than they need to be. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Focus on value. Start with what you know. So thanks. I'll make this presentation available. As I said, go to the website, go to Baraka Shea Butter's website for the other if you want. So I'm not sure what I do now on this. I guess I stop sharing and we take questions. Is that correct, Brenda? And Brenda, thank you and everyone again for this opportunity. I'm the only thing I regret is I'm not down in your beautiful islands and enjoying it. So hopefully next time. But congratulations to all of you. Putting this organization together, putting this event together takes a lot of work.
Thank you so much, Wayne, as you told us to call you, Professor Dunn. You've shared some vision, you've shared opportunity, direction, you've given us some very insightful perspectives and also some very practical examples that we as companies, and I guess we as consultants, must think about for continued success in our businesses and the businesses of our clients. And in order to make a greater impact on our communities, you shared about the communities, impact on the people, on the environment and the planet, all the while creating shareholder value in this circular economy. I, for one, now also have a better understanding of how the circular economy and ESG are intertwined, and also how by embracing the 5 R's of circularity, that companies can reduce their environmental impact, can improve their resource efficiency, and promote social responsibility, ultimately leading to better ESG ratings, which you didn't really get a chance to talk about, but that's also important, and also their more sustainable business practices. So now we're going to open up the floor to questions posed by our attendees around the world. And then, but let me start the ball rolling with my question. How do we convince traditionally linear businesses to transition to these circular models that you alluded to, so circular and sustainable models, especially when immediate profitability is not clear?
I think we convince them by convincing them that it makes business sense, that there's business value in it. And I think too often when we are dealing with environmental issues and social issues, not just as consultants, but as advocates, as organizations, we focus too much on social value and environmental value, and we treat it as a should do, as something that, it's your responsibility to do it. We essentially package it as philanthropic charity. We divorce it from business value. I think we need to develop that discipline, that we shouldn't even engage in the discussion with a business client until we have a conceptual model of how this can create value for them, so that we can make a coherent argument that this circular economy action is going to produce this, which is going to create business value. And, we need to develop that. Some of the metrics, some of the the tightness of the model will develop over time, but we need to make that connection. Taking our kitchen scraps and feeding them to the pigs and chickens reduced our cost for animal feed, and and it made the chickens, the pigs, the eggs, everything more profitable because we reduced our feed costs. we need to have simple arguments like that we develop. So think about, think through the 5 R's. Identify, where your clients, where those R's are the biggest opportunity, and then think through how that connects to the bottom line. And remember that you also, as with the example I talked about with the restaurant and with the shea butter, the connection may be, you may need a strategic intervention to make the connection. So you take that social value and environmental value that you create from your circular economy initiative, and you fold that into your marketing and communications to make your marketing and communications spend more productive and more efficient. So did that answer your question, Brenda?
Yes, I think it did. I hope it did for the others as well. We have some questions from our audience. So I'll start with the first one from Justin Clark Fletcher. Very well articulated, Professor. However, how is such an important message being shared to those in control, or rather, how can it reach more people?
The fact that you're here, the fact that CIMC is promoting this is one way. I mean, I'm going to put the question back to you. Who are you going to talk to about this today? It's a great question. What are you going to do about it? It's not my responsibility. It's all of our responsibility. So share it. Talk to people about it. Explore where there's value opportunities. Don't treat it as philanthropy or charity. Treat it as a business opportunity. Engage people.
Thank you. We also have another question here from, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Vimbai Faith Malanze. What type of KPIs are aligned with ESG, especially in the service businesses, say finance, etc.? It seems easier when relating and working with the manufacturing industries.
So this, if I've got this right, it's about KPIs related to ESG in the finance sector.
And service business, yeah.
That one, there's first, if you go to the website, there's a major report I just authored on ESG and finance and a number of lectures. But ESG developed out of the financial sector. The term ESG was coined. It came out of the UN Global Compact, a conference in 2004, and a report titled "Who Cares Wins." But the financial sector grabbed the term ESG and has really elevated it so that it is a global business issue now, because the framework, it's the ESG framework, allows the financial sector to identify and evaluate and assess environmental, social, and governance risks. And finance needs to understand risk. And so that flows from there. Individual investors are more and more putting money into funds that are ESG focused. 85% of investment decisions globally involve some sort of ESG screen. And not because investors suddenly woke up and wanted to save the world, but because as they understand the environmental, social, and governance risks of a business, they're better able to understand the overall risk of that business and the potential for profit. And as I said at the start, environmental and social issues are becoming more and more important. They're more important today than they were 5 years ago, and they'll be more important in 5 years than they are today. So if I'm investing in a business, I want to understand that, and the ESG is the framework that helps to understand that. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but that's how to think about it.
She said thank you, so I think that did answer the question. I have another question. Digital information, digital transformation, AI, etc., is a big thing right now. how can digital transformation and some of the emerging technologies such as AI, blockchain, Internet of Things, etc., how can they enhance circular economy and ESG initiatives?
Well, from a practical perspective, I used AI to help with the research that got me some of the data for my presentation, because I sure didn't know it off the top of my head. I mean, I think all of these are tools, and we need to look at them as tools. You can put, if you're looking at a manufacturing business, making cloth, making fabric. You can use technology, you can use AI to do some research to find out how other businesses are incorporating circular economy principles, how they're managing environmental and social impacts in ways that are affecting business value. I'm sure there's a lot more, but that's the one that comes to mind right away. I'm a lot smarter when I can efficiently gather data from the internet. Then it makes me look smart.
All of us, I think. Another question: what are the most significant ESG-related challenges business face when adopting circular economy practices, and how can consultants help them to address them?
I think it's the same. The major ESG challenge for business globally is communicating it, and reporting on it. Most are already doing it, and you'll find many businesses are already doing some circular economy. In the same way that if you go into a business, I will guarantee you in a 1 hour or 2 hour session, you can identify a whole suite of SDG, of UN Sustainable Development Goal impacts. So it's being done, but it's often not being communicated effectively because businesses too many of them get caught in complex communication and reporting frameworks. I mean, you can go and Google ESG reporting, and your head will hurt when you see all of the complexity. And it doesn't have to be. It's simply about, what are your impacts, positive and negative, in terms of environmental, social, and governance. What are you doing well? Communicate it. Where are your challenges? Communicate it. What are you going to do about it? Communicate it. If you're looking at circular economy, it's the same thing. What are you doing? What can you do? And communicate it, because when you communicate it, you enhance, you multiply the value of it, and you also motivate the business and the team to do more on it.
There was a question in the overall chat about the materials to learn ESG available for free, or there's some cost to pay, but that was answered in the chat, so we won't go to that. Unfortunately, we're going to have to sort of, we have to wrap up this session right now so that we can stay on track. But Professor Wayne, I'd like to ask you, is there any one closing key takeaway that you would like to leave, and that you would like the attendees and participants to leave with?
Two actually. Number one, you are smarter about this than you know. You know more about this than you realize. What you need to do is think about it in that simple framework, and just start. Find a place to start. Look at one of your businesses. Look at your household. Find a place to start. Use that framework to think about it. Don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay, well, basically Nike, just do it, just get started. That's really, yeah, great. Okay, well, that's it. I'd like everybody to please, as Ensemble said, a big hand and thank you for Professor Wayne's very practical, oh yes, I'm seeing the emojis coming up on the screen, his very practical suggestions, very practical examples from different parts of the world, reminding us that we're doing it ourselves and that we just need to start and tell we ourselves and tell our clients that they just need to find some R's, see where the value is, and get started. Before you go, we're now going to be moving into a break, but before you go, let me just share, okay. Yes, yeah, okay, yeah, we are going to do this. So we're going to have a teaser. Are we having the spin the wheel now? Oh yes, we're just letting you know that the spin the wheel session will take place right after this break. As Norma said earlier, the prize is a complimentary registration for the upcoming ISO 27